God's likeness equals calling. You remember? So where did we get this one from? God's likeness. God's likeness is, you remember Genesis chapter 1? Genesis chapter 1 verse 27. God said, let us make man in our own image and likeness. So God created man in his own image and likeness. So we are talking about likeness today. So God's likeness equals our calling. That is to say, whenever you read that God made man in his own likeness and image, that is actually talking about calling. God's likeness, that we are made in his likeness, means we are made to be like him. So how is God? Who is God? First of all, God is love. So we are made to be like him. Who is God? Anything that you understand God to be, that is our likeness. We created us to be in his likeness, to be his representative, to be just like him, to be his reflection. So as people, anyone that is created in God's likeness has a calling. And that calling is to reflect the likeness of God. So the greatest calling of every one of us is to reflect God, is to carry the likeness of God, to carry the reflection of God. The greatest calling of every believer is to reflect God, carry his likeness. What does that mean? To be like God. The word likeness is coming from the word like. Like. So we are called to be just like him. So anything you know of God, you are supposed to be like that. Everything you know of God, you are supposed to reflect that likeness. So it's all about likeness of God, being like God. So we are called to be the likeness of God. So God's likeness is our calling. So everyone who is a believer is called to carry the likeness of God. To the degree that you know God, you can carry his likeness. So for example, if you only know God, one quality of God, that God is kind, at least go ahead and carry that kindness. If you know God more, that for example, God is, if you know God more and discover that God is not just kindness, but God is also love, go ahead and carry God, that God of, the love of God, and reflect that love. So anything that you know of God, you have the calling. We all have the duty to reflect that likeness. So our primary calling as individual is in our formation, in our structure. We are made in his likeness to tell us what we are supposed to be. So, the way everybody is made talks about the way it's supposed to function. So, for example, if God created birds, if they are birds so that they will be able to fly, that's why they have the wings. If God created fish, it's because so that they will be able to survive in the river. That's why they are fish. So, but if God said we are created in his likeness, it means that it is our duty to reflect his likeness. What is likeness? Likeness is like taking a mirror. When you take a mirror and you look into that mirror, you will see your reflection there. That is how our life is supposed to be. We are supposed to be reflecting God through our lives. So that's why we have the Bible. And that's why we have the history of God, to study God so that we'll be able to reflect him. So the reason why we relate with God, why we go to pray to God, one of the most important reasons why we need prayers is not that he will be able to answer our prayers. It's not that he will be able to listen to us, or he will be able to, we'll be able to get some miracles from him. No, the reason why we should relate to God, we relate with him, is not to have miracles from him or some blessings from him, but is to be able to reflect him. It's like relationship with God is what gives us the ability, like that mirror. Our relationship with God is supposed to be working like a mirror. The mirror that reflects God to us so that we'll be able to reflect him. We'll be able to carry his image. The same way you look at a mirror and you see yourself, the exact image of what you say. We are supposed to be that exact image of God, exact reflection of God. So that is, it's in our makeup. We are made, we are packaged like this so that we'll be able to to be like God. So likeness, whenever you say we are made in the image and likeness of God, always see that word, image of God, as part of your calling. Always see that word, likeness of God, as your calling. So for you to be like God is to be a calling. It means you are called to be like him. For you to be made in the likeness of God, it means that God is telling you that he has put it in you. Just like he has put in a bird what it takes for a bird to fly, he has put in you as well what it takes for you to reflect God. He has put it in you what it takes for you to be like him. And so whenever you see a fish, whatever it takes for the fish to swim and to survive in the river is in that fish, is in the very particle of his creation. The same thing with us. The fact of our creation is made it available for us to be able to reflect God and to carry his likeness. That's why it says we are made in the image and likeness of God. Likeness refers to calling. So God's likeness that is in us is equal to our calling. We are called to be his likeness. We are called to be like him. We are called to be his reflection. We are called to act like him. So how does God act? Learn how God acts and begin to act that way. How does God behave? Learn how God behaves and begin to act that way. How does God know? What does God do? Learn to see how God behaves, what he does, and become like him and do the same thing. So likeness, being made in the likeness of God, means to be exactly like God and to perform like God and to behave like God and to reflect God. So the reflection of God on the earth is our primary assignment. And you can only do that by love. How can you reflect God if you don't know him? How can you reflect God if you don't understand him? How can you reflect God if you don't love him? And if he is love, then you have to love people. So you are reflecting God to people. The reflection of God that you carry is to be able to see people. So you reflect God most when you love people, because God is love, and for you to reflect God, you've got to love like him. When you are loving like God, that is, you are functioning in your calling. You are reflecting God. Since God is love, you are loving just like him. And when you are loving just like him, that means you are reflecting him. But when you don't love, when you live against the principles of love, you self-destruct. All problems in the world is a love problem. When you don't love, or when you only love yourself, you don't love other people, and when you form and you behave against the principles of love, you self-destruct. You begin to destroy yourself. Let's see a video that will show and prove to us that we self-destruct when we don't live against the principles of love, when we don't live by the principle of love. So here we go. You know how to do it?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Before we leave, we perhaps would go before we leave from there. We perhaps would go for Africa before leaving. So, like, we have goals. Okay? That's what I do. I call his name because it's what he told me to do. What he said I should tell you. Okay? My wife called you and met with you, your talk. Just why you said my wife didn't tell you anything. I said yes. My wife, when I came, I said I didn't tell you much. What all you said to me is what I told you. I told you that yet we have flow meeting, as he said, you want us to invest in this place, restaurant business. So you brought your friend, you said you wanted
Yeah, I'm very, very sorry to hear this. Because you know what my Liberian brothers would say? They would say this must be they would say, if the story is true, this must be the most stupid Liberian that's ever born. That how, when Liberian is to be the master, how can he be the Mugu?
Well, you see, not everybody, excuse me, it's not everybody into Liberia, into the or you call it fraudulent stuff.
419.
Okay, 419 something, okay? It's not everybody into the fraudulent stuff, okay? Some people are decent for me.
This guy Muhammad, is he decent?
Muhammad look decent.
Huh?
Muhammad is decent with body.
He giving you a fake meal from a
my money. Take my $2,000.
Not only he took your money, and he made you into the 419 star of Bangkok.
If I go to jail tonight, I will kill myself in the jail. I'm not lying to you because I'm innocent. Here's one thing I done, man. If I go to jail tonight, I'll commit suicide. To God and man. Because that guy fucked my life up. He tried to do this to me for what? For what? What did I do this to me for?
I don't know, he's your brother, not mine.
Anyway. Today is not a Nigerian we found though. Today is a Liberian they found. You know, I think it's an artist. I think really, let's go back a little, let's enjoy it. I think he knows what he's doing. I think they're planning. I think he's just trying to pretend that the guy, you know, that the guy gave him the thing. He didn't know what the guy gave him. I think he knew. They normally plan it together like that. So it's a Liberian that is carrying 419 something. But in the real sense, you know, he's caught. But what is it all about? If it is true that they deceived him, it means that guy that deceived him is a, you know, is a criminal, and is a manifestation of lack of love. So because there is no love, that's why he was deceived. Now, but I think really that the two of them, they know what they are doing. I think the two of them collided to do 419 scheme, you know, against all these Malaysians and Thailand people. And I think that's what they have tried to do. But they were caught. And now that they are caught, it's now trying to come up with the story that it was duped and things like that. So, unfortunately, today is not Nigerian. Today is Liberian guy. Now, and I think it's a Liberian guy. Even with the accent, it's not Nigerian. The accent is Liberian as well. So it's not just the passport, it's the accent also. So you could tell that it's Liberian. Okay, so yeah, here we are. But what we are saying is that if everyone, including that guy, if he had known that his calling, his primary calling, number one calling is to reflect the likeness of God, the image of God and likeness of God. If he knows that he is made in the likeness of God, not in vain, we are all making the likeness of God, not in vain. The fact that we are made in the likeness of God means we are called to reflect God, to be like him. The reason why we are made in his likeness is to be like him. The reason why he made us in his likeness is to reflect him, to reflect his likeness to the world. So that we could say that his likeness that we carry is our calling as well. We are called to be like him. We are called to reflect him, to reflect how God is. So we are supposed to be like him. It is a calling of ours. It is not just the way we are made. We are all called to know and reflect God. So the more of God that you know, the more that you are supposed to reflect. And the best way you reflect God is by loving people, because God is love. You reflect his love. You reflect his love. So all problems in the world is a love problem. Either loving yourself too much, not loving others as yourself, or loving others too much. A misdirected love is loving the wrong things, self and other things, instead of loving God and others. So, you know, if you don't love others, then you are going to love yourself too much, or you are not going to love people, then you are not going to be able to reflect the likeness of God. Because the perfect way to reflect the likeness of God is by love, because God is love. And if you want to reflect his likeness, you must reflect his love. Genesis 1:26-27, 28. Then God said, let us make man in our image and according to our likeness, you see. That's what we are talking about. Let us make man in our image and likeness. That means they are supposed to function like us. They are supposed to be like us. They carry our likeness so that they will reflect us. They carry our likeness so that they will be like us. They carry our likeness so that they will show how we are. So the likeness of God that we carry is for us to be able to show God, reflect God. So let them have dominion. Why? Because God himself is having dominion over the fish, the sea, the birds of the air, and over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So God is having dominion over the universe. In the same way, we are supposed to have a dominion over the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Then God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful, multiply. And God is fruitful. That's why God is able to create the universe and the galaxies. So we are supposed to reflect that nature of God in being fruitful, multiplying, whatever he has given unto us, we're supposed to be fruitful in it, to multiply it, fill the earth and subdue it, have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. So that's the way God himself is having dominion over all of creation and the universe. That's the way we are supposed to have. If you have been watching our videos and maybe you enjoy them, maybe you don't enjoy them, but still, we need you to help us spread the word. And for that to happen, we only need you to take 5 little steps. Please help us spread this word by liking the video. Then, if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We also need you to press the notification button, and the way to do that is to click on the bell. You see the bell there? Click on it. Then, of course, leave your comments. Let's know what you're thinking about each video. And finally, we need you to go and share the word. Share this video on your Facebook timeline, on your Instagram, and every other platform that you have. All right? Let's win the world for Christ. Thank you so much. Peace.